This is one of those older debates in the Dragon Ball community that have always piqued my interest. There's actually quite a few of these kinds of matchups in the Cell Saga that I've previously covered. AI, Super Saiyan 2 Goku versus Cell, and Trunks versus Vegeta. Be sure to check those out if you haven't yet. I think they're a pretty good watch. Aside from that, let's delve into the matchup. To be very clear, the Cell that we're talking about in this video is the one that we first encounter in Ginger Town, and not the Cell that absorbs Android 17. I think it's important to make that distinction early on because if that was the case, the video would already be over considering how easily he no-diffed Kami Piccolo and Android 17 at the same time. Someone who Super Saiyan Vegeta wasn't able to stand any chance against considering he lost himself to Android 18 who's weaker than 17. To be fair though, the Vegeta that we're talking about was also the Vegeta that fought Android 19 and 18 and not Super Vegeta that fought Semi-Perfect Cell because of the same reason. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the battle. Starting with Cell, we only have one fight to go on as this specific version of Cell we're using is the one that fought Kami Piccolo. Upon first encounter, Piccolo is able to push back Cell until he's caught off guard and gets his arm drained. However, when this happened, it was apparent that Piccolo was holding back his real strength, more than likely just to gauge where Cell was at, since the original plan was for him to fuse with Kami in order to fight the androids. It's obvious here he was conserving his energy in case he had to fight the androids, which is most likely the priority. Regardless of this though, Piccolo, even after getting his arm drained, stated that his strength was far superior to Cell himself, to which Cell doesn't deny this and pretty much confirms it by running away. Before this though, he does say some interesting things. One of which is that he can do various amounts of techniques from the Z Fighters, including the Spirit Bomb. Alongside the fact that he believes he can easily kill Trunks like he did before arriving here in the time machine, which is pretty consistent. Even though the Trunks that he killed in the future isn't the same Trunks that we all know, they should be the same relatively in terms of power. Funny enough though, Trunks didn't use Super Saiyan in their encounter when Cell killed him here, so it's a bit weird when thinking about how a Super Saiyan Trunks would do against him. But the result should be the same either way, as Cell, unlike the other androids, should know about Super Saiyan and how strong it can make someone. After being cornered by the Z Fighters, he escapes using the solar flare and sets off to absorb more humans so he can grow stronger. While making his getaway, he confirms to be weaker than both 17 and 18 and won't return to battle until he's stronger than them. This is consistent since Piccolo and Android 17 are rivals in strength as stated by Android 16 when Piccolo was powering up. This would place Cell far below Piccolo and the androids, but far above Trunks as well, considering that he was able to one-shot him pretty easily in the future. On his way, he encounters Vegeta, and makes a comment that sparked this very debate. After sensing Vegeta's power, he says that his power far exceeds what he expected of him and it would be wise for him to speed up the process. Before diving into that statement, let's pan over to Vegeta and give the scaling for him. After being killed by the hands of Frieza and being left in the dust by both Trunks and Goku, Vegeta sought to become the strongest Saiyan once again. Out of everyone training for the androids the last 3 years, it's evident that Vegeta worked the hardest, going even as far as to train in outer space during an active meteor shower. This is where he achieved Super Saiyan and one of the most dominant performances in the entire series against Android 19. It's noted by all the androids Vegeta encounters that he's much stronger than what they predicted him to be. Even with his big loss to Android 18, Android 17 is still impressed with how strong he is. It's even stated by Piccolo in his fight with Android 19 that he believes he might have surpassed Goku. Later, when Trunks appears again, Piccolo outright states that his strength has surpassed even that of Son Goku. When Goku himself wakes up from the heart virus, he says that if Vegeta couldn't beat the androids, then neither could he, implying relativity at the very least. So, similar to Cell, Vegeta would also be weaker than androids 17 and 18, but stronger than Trunks, given that Piccolo never made a comment about Trunks at any point during the same arc. And Vegeta did do better against the artificial humans than Trunks did, pretty much only being able to take one hit then getting knocked out after being thrown at Vegeta. Vegeta also should have received a bigger Zenkai boost as well as a result. Now that we established the relative strength for both of them, let's talk about how they would compare being pitted against each other. In this fight, Cell holds the advantage in multiple ways, starting with his unorthodox fighting style. Despite Piccolo clearly having the upper hand from the beginning, being directly compared to Android 17 in terms of power, Cell was still able to catch him off guard and restrain him. Before Piccolo had a chance to react, Cell had already drained the life from his arm, rendering it completely useless. If this scenario had involved Vegeta instead of Piccolo, it would have been a far greater issue. Unlike Piccolo, Vegeta cannot regenerate lost limbs, meaning he would have ultimately lost had Cell successfully drained his arm. This is consistent with later moments in the story, such as when Gohan lost an arm while protecting Vegeta. At that moment, it was explicitly stated that Gohan lost half of his power as a result. This suggests that losing a limb significantly reduces a fighter's strength in Dragon Ball, making it a critical weakness for characters without a regenerative capability. Additionally, Vegeta himself acknowledged that Piccolo was stronger and faster than him at this point in the series, which means that he would have had no real way to avoid attacks like this. As a human-like fighter, if Vegeta were to lose his arm, he would likely bleed out, leading to a quick defeat. However, this is just one of the several win conditions Cell has against him. Another key advantage Cell holds is his versatile list of techniques, with the most notable one being the Solar Flare. Every time Cell has used this move, regardless of whether his opponent was stronger or weaker, it has proven effective. Even against Kami Piccolo, who was confident that Cell wouldn't escape, the technique worked flawlessly. Vegeta would be no exception to this. If for any reason Cell found himself losing to Vegeta, he could simply use the Solar Flare to blind him and escape. From there, he could absorb additional humans to power up just as he did originally before returning to the fight at a much stronger level, ensuring an easy victory. Even if Vegeta had a power advantage in this fight, it wouldn't necessarily guarantee him a victory, unless he went all out from the very start, completely destroying Cell, much like how future Trunks eliminated him in his timeline. However, for this strategy to work, Vegeta's speed and power advantage would need to be significantly greater than what it is realistically. Many fans misinterpret Cell's statements about Vegeta being much stronger than expected as an admission that Vegeta is stronger than him. Many fans misinterpret Cell's statement about Vegeta being much stronger than expected as an admission that Vegeta is stronger than him. However, that's not what Cell is actually saying. A similar misunderstanding occurs when Android 17, who also believed that Vegeta was stronger than expected, yet he wasn't even close to 17's actual power level. The real reason Vegeta appears so much stronger is because he underwent 3 years of intense training, specifically to prepare for the androids. In contrast, his future counterpart did not train nearly as hard and may not have even unlocked Super Saiyan in the manga version of the story. Because events weren't unfolding exactly as Cell predicted, he felt the need to accelerate his plans, since unexpected developments could occur at any moment. Ultimately, Vegeta doesn't have much going in favor in this fight, aside from the argument that he and Cell might be relatively equal in power. However, even if Vegeta were stronger, Cell still holds another key advantage, which is Vegeta's Saiyan pride. While in his semi-perfect form, Cell demonstrated his cunning nature. The moment he realized Vegeta had the upper hand, he manipulated him into allowing him to achieve his perfect form, which ultimately led to Vegeta's downfall. The same tactic could be applied in this scenario as well if Cell were overpowered. If Cell were overpowered, he could simply provoke Vegeta by mentioning that he could become much stronger if he absorbed more humans. Given Vegeta's overconfidence and tendency to seek a greater challenge, it's entirely possible that he would fall for this trick once again, leading to the same disastrous outcome as before. Either way you look at it, Cell has Vegeta beat. So to conclude, even if Vegeta held a raw power advantage, it's clear that power alone wouldn't guarantee his victory in a battle against Imperfect Cell. Cell's unique abilities, intelligence, and adaptability give him multiple ways to outmaneuver and ultimately defeat Vegeta. And that's assuming Vegeta would be stronger, which he more than likely isn't. Because of these factors, Cell holds the overall advantage in this fight. Vegeta's only realistic path to victory would be to immediately recognize the threat and eliminate Cell before he has a chance to fight back, escape, or absorb more energy. Vegeta's pride and lack of awareness of Cell's abilities make victory less probable. Unless Vegeta eliminates Cell instantly, he'll take this fight through strategy, endurance, and manipulation alone, making this fight not even close.